Spy planes breach Iranian airspace. And Iran calls on allies. Meanwhile, Tel Aviv preps 100 missiles. And, well, Russia gets involved. American personnel are being pulled out. The situation could get really dangerous, and we'll soon see what happens. Iran can't be allowed to develop nuclear weapons. We'll never let that happen. They think they can impose restrictions on our country, but Iran has vast geography and huge potential. How can they possibly limit it? As for the sanctions America keeps threatening us with, they're powerless to actually enforce them. The Islamic Republic of Iran has already made it clear, and we'll say it again. Every time they choose confrontation, we'll definitely respond. Yes, Mohammed? And now, even some unofficial Iranian media are talking about the possibility of an Iranian strike on Israel under the banner of the True Promise. There are reports claiming that Iran has obtained access to highly sensitive strategic documents related to Israeli facilities. No one knows exactly how Iran got them. Then Trump comes out and says, it's time to bomb Iran and Tel Aviv. He claims U.S. forces are ready and just waiting for 0 hour. Iran is desperately calling on its allies, while U.S. military bases across Arab countries go on high alert. Tel Aviv is prepping for a strike on Iranian nuclear sites, and American spy planes are flying into Iranian airspace. U.S. intelligence is warning that the long-anticipated war is getting close. The Iranian president threatens there won't be a single U.S. base left in the region. Iran's defense minister announces they've prepared 100 ballistic missiles. Trump says talks with Tehran have collapsed. The Gulf region is boiling with tension. Iran, meanwhile, reveals sensitive nuclear files allegedly tied to Tel Aviv. This could be the war the world's been dreading since the arrival of nuclear weapons in both Washington and Moscow. The world is now preparing the doomsday clock, and when it hits midnight, it could mean the end of civilization as we know it. Not since the Cuban Missile Crisis has the world been this close to global conflict. Trump says Iran suddenly shifted to aggressive behavior and adds, there's something they're relying on now, but there'll be no deal anymore. According to Israeli channel Y24 News, Tel Aviv's preparations to strike Iran are at their peak, unlike anything seen since 2012. On another note, Mohammad Eslami, head of Iran's Atomic Energy Organization, said Tehran will soon release a report with solid evidence showing that the US, UK, France, and Germany have been secretly working on Tel Aviv's military nuclear program. According to Iranian intelligence, one European country is even helping Israel develop a strategic nuclear bomb. As usual, both sides are trading threats, and Arab states are trying to calm things down, worried about their fragile, glass-towered cities. Reuters reported multiple updates, including early warnings that the United States Navy's Bahrain base, which houses the Fifth Fleet, is now on high alert. Families of service members are being told to prepare for possible evacuation due to fears of military action involving Iran. The Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar is now on full combat alert. Planes haven't stopped flying. A KC-135 Stratotanker took off from Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia, cutting off transponders immediately after takeoff, another sign of rapid escalation. All this followed a public statement from Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian, saying Iran won't allow any United States bases to remain around its borders. A United States official confirmed to Reuters that the defense secretary gave permission for military families to voluntarily leave their stations in the Middle East. United States bases across the region are now in full readiness mode. As tensions rise, the Washington Post quoted United States National Intelligence Director Tulsi Gabbard, warning that the world is on the brink of nuclear war, a threat that could destroy humanity. Gabbard said on her YouTube channel that Earth is closer to nuclear annihilation than ever before, blaming reckless political elites and warmongers for stoking fear and tension between nuclear powers. Adding fuel to the fire, Iranian Defense Minister General Aziz Nasirzadeh announced a successful test of a warhead-equipped missile, the Niazi Note 9. He added that Iran won't allow military issues to be part of nuclear negotiations, and no one has the right to bring them up. The commander of the Revolutionary Guards also weighed in, saying the Gulf region and surrounding areas are top priority for Iran's defense, and that Iran's navy can handle close-range sea battles and long-distance operations, with an increasing number of IRGC naval boats ready. This is the question that's giving both Netanyahu and Trump headaches. And in the Knesset, the real debate isn't if there should be a strike. It's where the first strike will land. Meanwhile, Hebrew news site The Marker reported that a naval attack by Israeli forces on Hodeidah port won't change the balance of power between Tel Aviv and the Houthis. And the Americans, the British failed to lift the siege on Eilat, and the situation just keeps escalating. The British couldn't manage to break the blockade on Eilat, even though they kept rotating in destroyers and aircraft carriers. They even sent a submarine that used to carry nuclear missiles. So honestly, there's no real reason to believe that a naval operation is going to settle the fight with the Houthis or stop the daily barrage of missiles and drones being launched from Yemen. According to a U.S. defense source quoted on the website, the damage the Houthis are causing to Israeli maritime activity, especially shipping to the port of Eilat, is expected to continue even after the war in Gaza ends. Meanwhile, Washington, through the head of U.S. Central Command, declared that the Houthis are the biggest challenge at the moment. He said the U.S. has learned a lot from the attacks the Houthis have carried out on U.S. naval forces, and that upgrades are underway for naval software and spy radar systems. For the first time in history, the Houthis used anti-ship missiles against American vessels, according to Sky News. The Yemeni response came quickly, with Houthi leader and political bureau member Hassan al-Azi stating that Yemen will not surrender to Tel Aviv, even if we have to keep fighting until Judgment Day. Political tensions are definitely mounting. On the political front, Netanyahu isn't having the best of days, especially after 1,500 French lawyers signed a petition calling for the recognition of a Palestinian state and for those accused of war crimes to be held accountable, according to CNN. The U.S. responded, according to Reuters, by rejecting any unilateral recognition of a Palestinian state, warning that any country that takes hostile actions against Tel Aviv after the conference would be seen as acting against U.S. foreign policy interests and could face serious consequences, according to the White House. Meanwhile, Israel's Channel 12 reported that senior ministers in Netanyahu's government are urging him to start winding down the war in Gaza. The channel quoted ultra-Orthodox lawmaker Moshe Gafni, who openly called Netanyahu a deceiver, possibly in response to the Prime Minister's recent statements that Tel Aviv is the beacon of democracy in the Middle East. If it falls, much of the world will fall with it. He vowed victory, the defeat of Palestinian factions, the recovery of hostages, and the security of the besieged Gaza Strip. Syria is suddenly in the spotlight. On the Syrian front, alliances are forming and back-channel talks are underway. According to Axios, Netanyahu asked Washington to mediate negotiations with Syria, first through indirect messages, then through secret face-to-face meetings in third-party countries. Israeli officials reportedly told the American envoy they plan to keep their forces in Syria until a new agreement is signed, one that would include disarmament in southern Syria. The site also reported that Netanyahu is looking to negotiate a new security agreement as a step toward a full peace deal with Syria. The U.S. envoy said that Bashar al-Shara, representing Syrian leadership, is open to discussing new deals with Tel Aviv, as long as Syrian territorial unity is guaranteed. From Middle East flames to the fire in Los Angeles. While the Middle East burns, California is on the edge of its own volcano. The names may differ, but the issue is the same. Trump's policies won't be enforced through force. According to Reuters, a U.S. military official said Marine units will soon arrive in Los Angeles, with the authority to temporarily detain individuals until law enforcement arrives. American media confirmed that Washington has deployed more troops to Los Angeles than it currently has in Iraq and Syria combined. 4,800 troops from the National Guard and U.S. Marines are now in L.A., compared to 2,500 troops in Iraq and 1,500 in Syria. Amid immigration protests, a curfew was imposed in downtown Los Angeles from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m., and police warned that violators will be arrested. Trump keeps making deals, but abroad. Trump, as usual, is still cutting deals, but this time internationally. According to the Kremlin, dialogue between the US and Russia is ongoing, with a new round of diplomatic talks planned. While major obstacles still exist in US-Russia relations, both sides have started the slow process of rebuilding communication. In a separate context, Trump confirmed he's reached a deal with China. The US will collect 55% in tariffs, China will collect 10%, and Chinese students will be allowed to attend US colleges and universities again. Struggles with the old guard. However, Trump's relationship with the old security establishment is far from smooth. According to Reuters, a U.S. military official said the Trump administration is currently reviewing the AUKUS security partnership with Australia and Britain. Russia's flex. Over in Russia, the defense ministry proudly announced that it had completely wiped out the Ukrainian Babylon units, seizing their weapons and flags in the southern Donetsk front as part of its ongoing operations to liberate more territory, according to Sputnik. Meanwhile, Putin emphasized the importance of Russia's nuclear arsenal, stating that 95% of its nuclear capabilities are now made